Alright guys, in this episode I'm going to show you how to make another 1 horsepower. Well guys, I've just got the turbo and the exhaust manifold off, and like I was saying to the guys, this really reiterates the fact of how much I hate factory turbo setups. It's just so hard to get to everything. Oh my god, that's taken me literally like fucking 3 hours. Thankfully none of the studs snapped off or anything, so that's a win. But basically I had to undo the AC compressor to get to the very last bolt in here, and I actually ended up spending about 10 minutes with the carbide burr porting out that little bit so that I could basically get to the bolt without having to remove this whole bracket, which meant removing the alternator and a whole heap of other shit. So I'm one for making things easier for the next time, so I'm gonna set this up a lot better hopefully. Everything that's hard to access I'm gonna try and fix it, but the main thing is turbo's off, it looks good. EGR, I'm gonna get rid of that. You can see that little tube down there. I might do a separate video on deleting the whole EGR system. And yeah, the manifold looks pretty good. I was expecting to see a lot of carbon build up, like at the turbo inlet, also on the ports, but they're all relatively clean. You know, there's only a little bit of casting imperfection really, and a couple of like that little dog leg you can see in there. Just smooth that out, you know, just get all these nicely ported so the exhaust gases can flow without too much turbulence. But other than that, it looks pretty good. And then, as I said, where the EGR goes in, I'll probably end up just I'll either cut the flange off from the factory one and weld it shut, or I'll make up my own flange out of some flat bar. Depends how much time I got, because I've got to get this back on, exhaust back on, which is sitting under the car ready, which I obviously can't do until the turbo's back on, because we've got a dyno day to baseline this, which means I can then start putting a lot more mods on it in 2 weeks. So first up, I'm just going to give this a quick bit of a degrease, and then time to get into it. Alright, so degrees, it actually didn't really make that much of an improvement, but it's at least not going to make my hands all greasy. So for your viewing pleasure, I've gone through and coloured all the points that I'm going to be basically sculpting and, you know, contouring to flow a little bit better. This one probably got the most, I'd say, but it still shouldn't be too hard, hopefully. So there's that. And I've got a 20-cent fix for the EGR. Actually, whack that on there, weld her up, cut the studs off, she done. Alright, so I'll grab the old Dremel, got all my carbide bits, so these are very crucial. Also got miscellaneous other bits which I'll get later on in the process, but these bad boys should do the trick for now. So pretty much there is no magic secret for this. Yeah, there are secrets when you're porting heads, etc., like, you know, dog leg, all that kind of stuff. But for this stuff, you just want it to flow. Like, just look at it and, you know, think the gas, water, and, you know, everything wants to take the path of least resistance. So that's what we're going to make it do. We want to try and stop all these choppy changes. You're going to need a carbide bit like this. Now, these are pretty expensive. You can buy them online from China, which these ones are. I have not had a problem with them. These were like 20-30 bucks or something, as opposed to hundreds in Australia. So yeah, I'm just going to get to this. I'll chuck a GoPro on, do a bit of a time lapse, and walk you through it once I'm done. I've also got to drill and tap an EGT probe in the collector before I finish it all up too, so I'll show you guys that as well. Alright guys, so I'm finished with the carbide burr. That's the aggressive stage of the porting. which really, if you wanted to, you can pretty much leave it like that if you're pretty good on the tools. But you can see there where I've taken all the lumps and everything out, and it's kind of just a nice smooth transient. This cylinder here was the worst one. I've done my best to smooth everything out. You know, obviously you can't go too much because of the actual wall of the casting, but you know, just so there's no rapid lumps or bumps or anything. So what I'm going to do now is got this little sanding one in. I'm just going to go through and just polish it all up and just clean up around the port. So another thing some people do when they port manifolds, this one was actually pretty good, is port match. So you get your gasket basically and you take it out to the absolute size of the port, or the gasket anyway, if the gasket is actually the true size of the port on the head. But as I said, these ones are pretty good, so I'm not going to bother doing that. They're all pretty good. So I'm going to go through, polish these, give it a blowout, and yeah, then I'll get on to drilling the EGT bung. I'll weld up the EGR, or over there I should say, and then I might quickly chuck it in the bead blaster, prep it up, and I'm going to hit it with some ceramic paint. Alright guys, so here's the finished product. Hopefully you can see. It's kind of hard to show because there's so many contours and shadows and all that shit. That is the best I can really do. Obviously if I had some more time, as usual I'm on a deadline. I've got to basically get this manifold done. Ben gets back from America literally tomorrow or the day after. And this weekend we've got to basically get this manifold back on, exhaust back on, EGR deleted, and then we're going to do a air locker install in the back, which then, not the weekend after, but the weekend after that is the dyno, and the weekend before that I'm away. So I've literally got, well, this is sounding really confusing, but basically I've got this weekend to get a lot of stuff done. So I apologise if this video isn't as in-depth as usual, but I've got to get this done. You know, obviously the longer you span, the better you can get it, but you know, we're chasing fuck all here. Let's put it this way, it's a very ill-powered diesel, so while it's off I may as well do that. I'll clean this up, spray it, I'll do the EGR delete in a sec, and I'm good to go. I've just tapped an 1/8 inch NPT thread into this hole that I drilled right in the middle of the collector here. So this is the little mounting boss. This is a lot harder to do when you're looking through the viewfinder. There we go. So NPT, I think it's National Pipe Taper it stands for. So it's tapered thread. So it's basically a self-sealing thing. It goes through like that. There's a bit of a crush washer in there, and I put it to the height that I want. And Bob's your uncle. That is the EGT probe installed. So all I got to do now, I'm going to give this a bit of a bead blast. And as I said before, this is the correct spot to put an EGT sensor because you're actually seeing what's going into the turbo. As I said, I'll let Ben explain all those things from a tuning standpoint. Yeah, stay tuned for that, not too far away. Alright guys, so there we have it. Dunsky. So I'm going to take this home, try to get some coats of VHT flameproof ceramic black paint on it, and next you see, hopefully I'll be chucking it in the car tomorrow, so we shall see. As you saw, I got this bead blasted last night. I took it into work as well as my paint and did a sneaky bit of painting between things at work. For those of you who don't know, I'm a builder, so I was kind of painting and hanging this on some scaffolding on the building site. But yeah, this is ready to go on. So I've given this a bit of a degrease. Sorry, I'm just trying to use my head torch to illuminate this. So it has turned up a lot better than it was. I'm just going to probably, I've got some more degreaser, so I'm just going to give it another hit. Or mainly where I can't get from the manifold, but yeah, then we'll get to sticking this back on, and hopefully it all goes as, well, not as smooth as before, because it's actually a pain in the ass to get off. So while the turbo is disconnected, I decided to take the V-band off and disconnect the core from the exhaust housing. It all looks good, actually. It's all pretty tight. There's no significant end play or end flow, as people call it, or any no axial movement, no radial movement. I've just taken the chance to clean all the oil and shit off this wastegate. I was going to give this a hit of black ceramic coat like the header, which is now on, but look, honestly I'm going to be replacing this turbo with something else. Probably first up I'll replace it with a Mamba billet replacement. So it'd be a billet impeller wheel, ball bearing, and it can flow about 40% more. I guess we'll push that, and then once we find the limit of the turbo, I'll probably end up going a compound twin. So anyway, I'm going to chuck this back together, chuck the turbo on, put my EGT probe in, then I can finally put my exhaust on, which I finished in a previous episode, which you can check out. And then start patching this all back together. And guys, there you have it again. There's the EGT probe installed before I chuck this turbo back on. Obviously that's going to run somewhere out of the way. So a little tip for you when you're taking the turbo on and off. So these turbos, they have a drain and the oil inlet in the same flange, as you can see there. So what the previous person has done is use some RTV to help seal that up, which is fine. I've done that myself. I actually always use some kind of RTV or non-hardening or anaerobic or on these gaskets, because a lot of the time I've had these gaskets not sealed properly, or just God knows what, but I've had them leak. So RTV is actually really good, but you just got to be careful when you are installing it that doesn't go in here and gum this up like it kind of is now. It still would have been fine, but just things like that. So I'm going to put some anaerobic sealant on this, which is a cures under lack of oxygen. So I'm just going to put a little bit around there and a little bit around here. The secret is, if you're using RTV, I guess keep it away and use it as sparingly as possible, because as it does squish, it will kind of displace into that area.